All right, this is going to be the start of the notes for lesson 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3. And what we're going to be working on is just solving equations. All right, so the first thing we need to look at is what does the word equivalent equations mean? Okay, equivalent just means same. So equations that have the same solution. Okay, so they're equivalent equations if they have the same solution. So now we're going to go down through here and go ahead and start solving these, here. So on example A, it says x plus 13 equals negative 27. Now, on the equal sign here, sometimes I put a wall down here just to show you what I do to one side, you got to do to the other. So remember, we're going to be isolating this x. We want to get the x all by itself. So in order to do that, we're going to undo what it says on this side. So since it says plus 13, we're going to undo that with a minus 13, and we're going to do that on both sides. So this crosses out. You're left with an x on this side. We've still got an equal sign in the middle. And then you're going to go ahead and same sign, add them up. So you're going to end up with negative 40. All right. Now, you can show a check on these. We are not required checks, but if you have extra time on like a test, there's something I would think about doing. So what you would do is take your answer, and you're just going to plug it in right there. So you're going to get negative 40 plus 13, and that should equal negative 27. So in this case, negative 27 equals negative 27. It works. Okay, so that's what a check would look like. Again, I'm not going to require that you do a check. Just note that you can check every problem that you get an answer to. All right, so let's go to the next one here. So same concept. We're still going to isolate that y. So to do that, we're going to move that 3 halves. So we're going to do the opposite there. And we're going to add 3 halves to both sides. Now, in this case, those will cancel. We get y on the right side, but it's kind of nice because we already have a common denominator of 2 there. So we're just going to add them up. 1 plus 3 is 4 over 2. And then we'll go ahead and clean that up and say y equals 2. And that's your answer. All right, next one here. Okay, so now we're going to do a little division because this is saying 4 times x, and again, we're still going to isolate this x right here. We wouldn't still get by itself. So to undo that times, we're going to divide. We're going to divide both sides by 4. So these cancel. X equals a negative divided by a positive is a negative. And then in this case, I'm going to go ahead and do a little scratch work down here off to the side. And I'm going to take 4 divided by 4.6 because we still don't have any calculators yet. So 4 goes into 4 one time. 4 goes into 6 one time. Again, bring that decimal up. So I get 4, 2, drop a 0 in. 4 goes into 25 times. So my answer will be negative 1.15. Okay. All right, D. Okay, so it's the same concept. We're still multiplying here in the middle. It's negative 15 times h. So to undo that, we're going to divide both sides by negative 15 so that those cancel. So on the right-hand side, we still have an h. Now on the left-hand side, we need to go ahead and just reduce this fraction. So negative divided by negative is a positive, and then 5 would come out of both, so you'll end up with 2/3. Okay. All right, so again, still doing just one-steppers right now. So if we're looking at this, this is telling us that we're dividing. So to undo division, you're going to multiply. Now, technically, we talk about multiplying by the reciprocal. So we multiply by negative 9 over 1. Now, you don't actually have to put it over 1. You can just say we're multiplying both sides by negative 9. That would be the same thing. But those 9s would cancel out. So we'd have c left on this side. And then 8 times negative 9 is negative 72. All right. Okay, so again, I kind of just talked to you about multiplying by the reciprocal. So why don't you go ahead and pause this video and try this problem on your own and see what you can come up with. Okay, so you should have multiplied both sides by 5/4. So when you do that, the 5/4 over here on the left-hand side cancels. So we get m equals. And then over here on this right-hand side, put this over 1. Remember, you can cross-cancel this. 4 goes into 4 once and to 28 7 times. So now you're just multiplying straight across. So 7 times 5 is going to be 35. And that's going to be your final answer there. Okay. All right. So now this guy is a little trickier. So if I look here, we're still going to isolate the r, right? Get the r by itself. So we would say you're going to divide by 7. Now that looks pretty intense though. That does not look so good. So when you get something like this, one of the things that you can think about is 2 different ways. You can put it over 1 and think of it as a complex fraction. And we talked about in class that you could just multiply by the reciprocal, and that would work. The other thing you can do, if I rewrite this down here, we get 7r equals negative 7/2, is that you can actually just multiply by the reciprocal of 1/7 and get that to cancel that way. Either way, you're going to get the same answer. So if I just kind of keep continuing here, the 7s would cancel. I go 1 to 1. So then I would have r equals negative, because a negative times a positive is a negative, 1 over 1, or 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 1 is 2. So negative 1/2. Okay. All right, so now on H, we're going to start multi-step equations here. Okay, so we're still going to, again, isolate the variable. So we're still going to isolate that A. And to do that, we're going to go ahead and start by adding 6 to both sides. So we're going to add 6 over to the right-hand side there. Again, if you need to draw a wall, draw a wall. Whatever you do to one side, you got to do the other. So I have 2a equals 10. Then I'm going to finish off solving for that a. Again, remember, we're isolating this guy. So I'm going to finish that off by dividing by 2. So a equals 5. Okay. All right, let's turn over to the next page. All right, so on I here, this is what I call a big guy. Like, this is a big fraction, right? When you have a big guy, a big fraction here, you are going to multiply by the 8 first. So since this says divide, right, that's what that little guy right there means. Since it's divide, you're going to multiply both sides by 8 to get rid of it. So now when you do that, just keep in mind the top is going to drop straight down. So we get a plus 7 equals 40. Now at this part, you're just at a one-step equation again, so you want to subtract 7 from both sides to isolate that a. So a will equal 33. Okay, so again, when you have a big guy on top, you got to take care of the bottom first. Okay, now that's going to be a little different than this guy. This is a skinny guy. He's really small. He's so skinny with a cute little fraction. And when he's small and skinny, we aren't scared of him. So we're going to take care of the 2 first. All right, so go ahead and subtract 2 over to this side. Okay, those cancel, so I get a negative 5 equals a divided by 11. And now I'm going to multiply both sides by 11. So negative 55 equals a. Okay. All right. Now this is also a skinny guy. So I want you to take a second, pause the video, and try this one on your own. Okay, so you should have added the 8 to both sides because he's a skinny guy, so we take care of his buddy first. So 3/2 r equals 19. And then in this case, you're going to go ahead and multiply by the reciprocal. So you would multiply by 2 over 3. So all that cancels over here, and we get r equals, okay, again, put that over 1. Nothing will cross cancel. So we'll end up with 38 over 3. Okay, remember, we're just multiplying straight across there. And that's going to be your final answer because 3 doesn't go into 38 evenly. All right, we're also going to get some multi-step ones like this where you're going to need to go ahead and combine like terms first. So you'll need to go ahead and kind of clean it up before you start moving side to side. Okay, so go ahead and start by combining the like terms. So 11 minus 6 is 5m, minus 8 equals 22. Now that you've gotten here, now this is just kind of a multi-step that we just worked on. So go ahead and add the 8 first. So you get 5m equals 30. And then we're going to divide both parts by 5. So m equals 6. And that's going to be your answer. Okay, so this one would be another kind of multi-step one. We're going to start by distributing that negative 8 through. So we've got negative 16x plus 8, negative times a negative is a positive, equals 36. We're going to subtract the 8 off to the other side there. So we end up with negative 16x equals 28 and then we're going to divide by negative 16. Now, negative 16 does not go into 28 evenly, but it does reduce. So a positive divided by negative is a negative, and then if I kind of think 4 would come out of there, so if I divide it by 4, I would get 7 and 4 on the bottom. Okay. All right. Okay, so this is what I was trying to kind of warn you back in chapter 1. In chapter 1, we talked a lot about making sure you distribute a negative through. This is where it's coming into play finally. So you have to make sure that negative goes through first, not the 8n. The 8n is separate. Put the negative through, so you get negative 2n plus 3 equals 12. So distribute. Now combine like terms. You're still going to have to do that step. So you're going to get 6n plus 3 equals 12. Subtract the 3 off. So we get 6n equals 9. And then we're going to go ahead and divide by 6. Again, we have to reduce our fractions, so 3 comes out of both. So your final answer would be 3/2. Okay. All right. Go ahead and go to the next page. All right. So word problems. Now on word problems, you're going to have to make sure you read directions and do what it says. These are the 4 steps we will always expect from you out of a real world problem. So we're going to define a variable. We're going to write an equation, we're going to solve it, and then we're going to interpret your solution with a complete sentence explaining what your solution means. Okay, so toucans and blue and yellow macaws are both tropical birds. The length of the average toucan is about 2/3 of the length of an average blue and yellow macaw. Toucans are about 24 inches long. What is the length of an average blue and yellow macaw? All right, so when we're defining variables, first thing I always do when we're defining variables is you want to go back and look at that question. What is it asking? So in this case, it's asking us for the length of an average blue and yellow macaw. So I'm just going to put L. You can use any letter you want. Length of just macaw. Again, be specific. Tell me exactly what we're finding. You can't just say macaw here, okay? All right, so now you kind of reread. And when I'm looking at this, I kind of look for mathy words. Is about 2/3 of the length. Okay, so that right there pretty well tells me what I need to know. So and over here on this side, a toucan is over on this other side. Okay, so if you think about it, okay, toucans, what do we know about toucans? Well, we know that toucans are about 24 inches long. Okay, so I know toucans, and sorry guys. So I know in place of the toucans up here, I'm going to put an L for its length, or T for toucan. I mean, sorry, that's not right. Toucans is 24 inches long, so we're going to plug that in. So we're going to take 24 and plug it in for T. Sorry, guys. So I'm going to put 24 equals, because is means equals, right? About 2/3. 2/3 of means times the length. All right, so now it's just a matter of solving. So we're going to multiply both sides by 3/2. Okay, again, if you want to put that over 1, you can. All of this on the right-hand side will cancel, and that gives me my L. On this side, I'm going to put a 1 and a 12. So 3 times 12 is 36. Now, you have to write a sentence explaining what the heck's going on. So in red there, it says, what is the length of an average blue and yellow macaw? So if I'm looking here, that means a macaw is 36 inches long. So why don't you go ahead and take a second there and write a sentence. Okay. So the macaw, or a macaw, is 36 inches long. Okay. All right, let's go to the next one. A pizza shop charges $9 for a large pizza, and additional toppings cost $1.25 per topping. Heather paid $15.25 for her large pizza. How many toppings did she order? All right, so first thing we're looking for, question, what are we finding? So we're looking for a number of toppings. So I'm going to go ahead and put T equals number of toppings. Okay. All right, and what I know here so far is I know that a large one is $9 for just cheese, and then additional toppings cost $1.25 per topping. Now, while we haven't talked a lot about the word per means times normally. All right, so you're going to multiply. All right, so I know she paid $15.25 total. Let me zoom in here. So $15.25 total. So I know it's going to equal $15.25. It says $9 for pizza, just a plain cheese pizza, and then I'm going to put $1.25 for each topping. Okay. All right, so now you're going to solve. So we're going to start by subtracting that 9 over. So we end up with $6.25 equals $1.25 T. Okay, now we're going to divide by $1.25 on both sides. All right, and so when we do that, T is going to equal 5. So now you're going to write your sentence. She ordered 5 toppings for her pizza. Okay. All right, and flip over to the page here. So on this one here, it says Martha takes her niece and nephew to a concert. She buys T-shirts and bumper stickers for them. Bumper stickers cost $1 each. Martha's niece wants 1 shirt and 4 bumper stickers, and her nephew wants 2 shirts but no bumper stickers. If Martha's total was $67, what was the cost of 1 shirt? Okay, so again, you're defining your variable, and it's all based off of the question, what is the cost of 1 shirt? So let's go ahead and define our variable here. And I'm going to put S for cost of 1 shirt. Okay. All right, so now equation. So on the equation here, we know from the information here that the total is 67. So I know I've got something equals 67. And now let's kind of figure out what all she was buying. So she has bumper stickers that are $1 each. And she is buying 4 bumper stickers. Oops, sorry guys. 4 bumper stickers, and then the nephew doesn't want any. So she's only buying 4 bumper stickers. So hopefully we all can understand that 4 times 1 would be $4. So we have got $4 plus whatever T-shirts we buy. Okay, so then on our T-shirts here, it says her niece wants 1 and her nephew wants 2. So we have a total of 3 T-shirts. Okay, now if you would have said something like 2 T-shirts plus 4 bumper stickers plus 1 T-shirt equals 67, that would have been the exact same thing, and just realize that we're just combining the like terms at that point. Okay, so now you're going to go ahead and then solve. So subtract the 4 off. 3s equals 63, and then go ahead and divide by 3, and s equals 21. So each T-shirt cost $21. All right, and that concludes your notes for 2-1 to 2-3.